is going on? Welcome to the millions of people out there. Thank you for tuning in at 6:20 on a Friday. Hope all is well. Hope everyone is getting absolutely hammered out there. Their martinis are flowing. They're drunk. Girlfriends and boyfriends are texting them to hang out tonight, and all the dinner plans that you want are coming true. I was just actually watching a video. I'm finishing up what I want to do over the weekend because obviously Thanksgiving is coming up next weekend. So probably Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'll be off on Long Island and whatnot. This is a very interesting subject that our boy Brian Johnson, so he has, just go to optimize.me, unbelievable website. You have to pay for it, but I got in when he was doing a special that I have unlimited free access forever. And Brian Johnson brought up something very interesting. He has something called Hero 101. Highly recommend Hero 101. It's an optimizing masterclass. It's 2.5 hours. I'm an hour and a half in, and he said something that really, really hit. And he said that there is this fighter out there, I don't know his name, but this world-renowned fighter that he would actually, when he had a baseline that was higher than any other time in his life, say a punch or a kick or a crunch or a move that he's never done before, he would go back and study the video to make sure that that was his new baseline. Imagine making 5 calls and they were all successful. You sat down, you reflected, and you said, this is my new baseline. My percentage of closing is going up because of this. The amount of cash that is coming into my bank account is now, for me, my baseline is I can't wake up later than 6 p.m. My body's just not used to it. I'm used to going to the gym. That's my baseline. There's other areas that I need to optimize. What is your baseline? What do you need to change? This is the thing, is that yes, when something bad happens, what's going on? How we doing all? When something bad happens, we, as Ray Dalio said to an amazing podcast that I just listened to, Ray Dalio wrote Principles, and he said something very interesting. He said that learning, so you fail, so learning plus reflection, so learning from a failure plus reflection equals progress. The reflection part is the most important thing. This is what happens. I'll have an amazing day like today, and I will not, but because I've learned from what Ray Dalio said, I would have typically not went back and said, what made it amazing? What made it amazing? He was on with James Altucher, who's in New York City as well. And by the way, James Altucher, very, very good at interviewing. Incredible at interviewing. I've listened to him with Ryan Holiday, with James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits. I cannot stress that enough. I have a 2-part video series that's coming out next week. It's not coming out next week. I'm going to film it next week, Monday and Tuesday, about Atomic Habits. I have the notes on that thing are ridiculous. I have, let me just bring it up really quick. These are all the notes on the left side. You didn't really see it because I have my email up. I don't want to show my email. But essentially, he said, this is the thing, is that we only contemplate when we have failure. Okay, but the thing is, we usually don't change. That's number 1. Number 2 is we don't contemplate when things happen that are good. I am telling you right now, I am going to bring this when I'm speaking in front of tens of thousands of people in the future of, say, probably six to 7 years. I hope around age 40, because that's usually when people start, cracking into it. Grant Cardone started a little bit later, but Gary Vaynerchuk, he started becoming famous around then. Pretty much everyone, David Goggins, he's 42. There's not a lot of people that put out original content. Jordan Peterson, he's in his 50s. Grant Cardone, older. Tony Robbins, Peter Diamandis. There's not many people that really, unless they are absolute freaks and put their health second or third, like Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm gonna call it right now. Gary does not look good for 42, 43 years old. The guy is putting health second and third. That is not good. I'm just calling it right now, and I don't wish anything on him at all. But you have to put health as your number 1, because otherwise people will take care of you in the future. So essentially, what I want to get back to is that there's 2 things that I'm going to take into my grave. I actually had to re-download YouTube to go live on my phone Because I deleted it. I deleted Instagram and I deleted Facebook yesterday. I deleted YouTube yesterday. I deleted a bunch of other apps that were not as productive, and I said, why is this even on my phone? Why is this even on my phone? So number one, the phone will cause more mayhem going into the future. Look, 9 hours a day, someone just said, is a study. 9 hours a day for people that are 18 years and under are on the phone, okay? That's addiction, okay? If I was at a bar for 9 hours a day, or if I was, I don't know, doing anything for 9 hours a day, I would think that was my full-time job, AKA if I was working out for 9 hours a day, okay? Yeah, so no more stories. Exactly, Erwin. So there's no more stories. I can't do, when I post, I have to post to Instagram on the browser of Safari on my iPhone, and then it doesn't automatically go up to Facebook, so I have to repost it through the browser on Facebook. That's why I haven't posted in a while. So no more video stories, sorry guys, but productivity needs to increase. And I've said this multiple times on the videos that are coming up. There's this girl, she just turned 38, okay? Like I said at the duck story, that's probably for the best. Oh yeah, that was actually kind of funny. I would have maybe downloaded it for the duck story. This girl just turned 38 years old. Friend of mine, and she posted a really raw Instagram post about it. And she said, I'm not where I want to be, and I'm freezing my eggs this year. She's 38, and I am telling you right now, I'm 33. Yeah, I'm 33, and I had to think about it because I don't give a shit. And it's all about your metabolic age and not about your actual biological age. So in other words, your metabolic age, they actually have tests, I don't know how accurate they are, but there's a metabolic age that Gary Vaynerchuk looks like he's 52 to 62. You know, even Jordan Peterson looks kind of a little old for his age. You know, you look at a guy like Tony Robbins, Peter Diamandis, Elon Musk, you know, even a guy, what's his name? Tucker Carlson just popped up on my YouTube. He's on Fox News. He looks young. There's a bunch of people, David Goggins, he looks young. It's because they put health as their priority. There's a lot of people, even Jeff Bezos. So enough of that. So this is what I've noticed is that cell phone, number one, is going to be the killer. I already mentioned the 9 hours a day. Suicide has skyrocketed because this is the thing is that when you start comparing yourself to others, but you're using that as a baseline of where you should be, you're going to get unhappy. But if you compare yourself to others as saying, this is what I could accomplish, that's totally different. But the problem is these kids are not learning that through school. They are still in this educated mass that's being taught and funneled through middle school and high school that makes no fucking sense. There is no, this is how you save money. This is how you take care of your health. We're learning about shit that doesn't even matter anymore. It's incredible. All right, enough of that. So your cell phone, number one. And number two is silence. Okay, they're hand in hand, silence. The problem is that when you feel uncomfortable, back in the day, I would go to my cell phone, back in the day, 2 days ago, I'd go to my cell phone and I would have a plethora of things that I could do. I could check out dating apps. I could check out Instagram. I could check out Facebook. I could check out YouTube. None of that's there. So guess what I have to do? Sit in silence, which I don't do, or do work, okay? Atomic Habits has changed my life because there's two things that we do, unfortunately. We put really bad habits right in front of us, our TV. The problem is people keep comparing themselves to others rather than comparing themselves to the baseline. Yeah, but Napoleon Hill said that education not about teaching someone. Oh, yeah. Listen, Seth Godin has talked about education for a number of years. I saw him speak probably 8 or 9 years ago, and he was bringing it up then. And he said the main problem with education then is that they teach you to sit at a desk, shut your mouth, especially with guys. Guys, we need to run around and kick things and slam our head against the walls and beat each other up for a little bit. The problem is we're told to sit down. Oh my gosh, this guy, he can't sit down, or this girl is a little bit crazy. Let's put them on drugs. And then they're on drugs, and then they're addicted to drugs, and or they're never going to go after drugs or never get away from drugs, and then they add more drugs on top of that. Listen, there's two things I'm going to tell you right now. Number one is the phone. Atomic Habits is the best book of the year by far. Yeah. By far. And the reason being is Jordan Peterson has great principles, but the thing is there's not as much practical way in advice. I took James Clear, jamesclear.com. I took his his habits course, $200 or $300, whatever. I listed probably maybe 15, 20 1-hour segments with him on 3 to 4X on podcasts while I'm getting ready for the gym and eating lunch and breakfast and things like that when I'm at work. And I read his book, and I'm not even done with the book. I've completely obsessed with it. I'm going to bring up a lot of things like frequency over time. I'm looking at this system versus goals. Don't raise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. These are massive things. Scale down the habit to 2 minutes, remove the friction, habit stacking, join a group who will hold you accountable, miss one day, never two. These are all unbelievable. If someone just told me one of those things, I would be like, holy shit, that's amazing. So listen, when you have a baseline, I have a baseline right now. When I was walking through the street, I was so present. I saw this girl that at the gym, she totally turned me down. I saw her today. I don't know what it was. She smiled, she laughed and everything else. Maybe because she understands that there's only a few amount of us out there. There's only a few of us out there, okay? And this is the thing is that say this girl who's freezing her eggs, who is saying, I wish I was married, I wish I had kids, I thought I would be in that realm, and she just doesn't look that good. She looks good, but you can see that it's taking a toll, that she thinks about it every single day. I have no prospects to getting married. And that's the thing is that when that happens, you think about it all the time. Okay, it's good to think about it all the time. Hudson 2025, that's where I want to be in the year 2025. Her, on the other hand, is thinking about a family. And the problem is, if you take no time, this is the most important thing I'm going to talk about. Do you recommend Audible? Actually, this is a book that you actually want to read. So yeah, I actually may buy the book. This is the last thing I'm going to say, and this is probably the best thing that I'm going to say during this whole thing, is that if you sit in silence and you really go deep down, and you really, really, truly feel, this happened to me 3 weeks ago, and this is when all of the habits that I was doing, improper habits that I was doing for the last 3 months, hit. It hit on a Saturday. And I remember leaving work on a Saturday, and I said, what the fuck? What the fuck? And I started thinking about it, and as I was leaving work, I did work, but I didn't actually do work. I didn't actually do work. I was at work. I was there. I was on a Saturday. I did to-do lists, but I wasn't actually doing what I needed to do. David Goggins talks about it on Lewis Howes' podcast. He says, I have no fears right now because I went full force into all of my fears. So for me, that's what I was avoiding. I was avoiding making more sales calls. I was avoiding reaching out to clients because I thought, what are they going to think? I was avoiding all these things when in fact I was just filling my time. And I feel that the reason that this girl is unhappy right now, because she filled her time with shit. She filled her time, but she didn't fill it properly. She didn't fill it with, maybe I got to go out and network with guys, or maybe I have to join a running club. Maybe I'll meet a guy there, or maybe I'll meet it through friends. Maybe she stayed in too much, or maybe she loved watching The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, or maybe she was on social media too much. I have no idea. But there's something that led to this. And that's the thing. It's someone in the comments of her post said, until someone changes society, okay? No one's going to change society, okay? Society's going to be like this, okay? Society's going nowhere. You change within society, okay? That's why I don't watch the news. That's why I don't give a shit about politics, because that's always going to happen. I can't change anything. Sit in silence. So when I left work, I went home and I went inside. And I said, why am I unhappy? It's because you're not getting what you want. Why am I not getting what I want? Because your habits aren't there. Because you're not doing what you should be doing. You're doing what's easy. Why am I doing what's easy? Well, because one time you missed a day of phone calls, and then it led into 2 days, and then you only did 1 to 2. Then you did maybe 5 one day, and then you maybe did 3 one day. Then you only went to the gym 4 days, and you rode a bike. I went really, really deep, and then I said something needs to change. But on the other hand, if I went to my phone and I said, what's going on with Instagram? Is Charles live right now? Is I don't know, maybe Facebook? Entertain me, dating world. Entertain me, TV. Silence, distracting yourself. When you feel that need, walk into the silence. You're going to feel it on the elevator. You're going to feel it when you're waiting online. I wait online for chopped salad. It was 10 minutes online. I didn't look at my phone once. I am weaning away from, it was never, maybe like when it first came out, it was an addiction, but it was a distraction. That's the best way to put it. I'm looking around the line. You feel better. You feel better because you're looking around. All these people are addicted to their phone. All these people need that stimulation. And it's not like, oh, they're doing work. I'm looking at their phone screens. Instagram, Facebook, email, hundreds of emails, spam emails. Someone's on Amazon. This is the thing I'm going to tell you right now. If you handle, first, walking into silence, because changing your phone habits, it's a little bit harder. You got to change other areas, like going to the gym. I go 7 days a week now, because I noticed if I don't get a good sweat on, my entire day is totally different. And you meet some incredible people, including the opposite species. So silence, walk into it. Start with the elevator. Then when you're waiting online for something, whether it's, I don't know, breakfast, sit there without your phone. Then start going and saying, look at your phone and say, do I really need this right now? Is this actually productive? I even got rid of apps like Strava. I don't know if you've ever heard of Strava, but Strava, why is it even there? I check it once a week. I don't need it. Garmin, the only reason I have Garmin is because that's how I post my writing posts. All right. So I hope this helps. Make your best your new baseline. And the only way to do that is you have to wean yourself away from distractions before you can implement new good habits. All right? So if you guys have any questions, have an amazing weekend. Turkey Day is coming up. 2019 is coming up. That's why David Goggins runs at 3 a.m. Yeah. And it was funny too. This is the last thing I'll say, and I know I've said that multiple times. I'm indoor cycling this morning. You become like Neo. Dude, when you feel light on your feet, it's a feeling that you can't implement. It was like when I did a video probably about 2.5, 3 weeks ago when I was walking down my street going back to work, is that I can't give you an experience. I used to read about it all the time. I can't give you the feeling of a good experience. Of actually, in a good experience, I don't mean like a closing and you get a check or a gift. I mean doing something you fear and it works out. I can't give you that feeling. That feeling is amazing. But when you walk lightly along the streets and you're so present and you don't need your phone and you're not looking around like a crazy fucking madman, I'm telling you right now, it is an amazing feeling, and it just started. I'm only 48 hours in. I'm probably going to go to the end of the year. I don't even know if I'm ever going to download it again, to be honest, because all the successful people that I've been hearing about, what's his name, is coming out with a new book. He wrote Deep Work. Cal Newport is coming out with a new book. Is it Cal Newport? I don't know. I just pre-ordered it. It's coming out in January, and it's literally about the addiction of the cell phone. I want to learn as much as I can because I know that is the biggest distraction. Homo Deus by Yuval, the guy that wrote Sapiens. He also wrote in Homo Deus that the number one thing is if you can time block is the number one way that people will be successful in the future. So I mentioned it in that other video. Oh, so this is the last thing I was going to leave you on. I'm at cycling class this morning. And cycling class, I don't like indoor cycling. I think it's boring. I'm not going anywhere. It's kind of like running. That's the way I think about it. But when I do CrossFit and things like that, at least I'm competing against other people and you're doing something different. You're moving around, you're picking up and throwing things and whatever. So that's what I like to do. That's my jam. But indoor cycling, it was funny because I rewatched David Goggins on Lewis Howes, and he said, I move into fear, and if I hate it, I do it more. And Lewis Howes laughed. And this morning, I was in that moment. I was a half an hour into a 45-minute class, and I was like, this sucks. I was exhausted. I was pushing myself. I was drenched in sweat. My shirt is still wet. There's my bag. It's outside of my bag. It's right there. I have 3 bags I got to bring home. I'm going to look like I'm homeless. Meditating, that was it. My morning habit, I went away from for 6 months, and it just, what I was doing that worked, I went away from. And getting back to that, is everything. I was dominating this year. I was making so much fucking money. I was approaching all the prettiest girls that I wanted to. I didn't have the relationship in my life, so I thought I needed to add that in, and then it went fucking downhill from there for another 3 or 4 months. But the thing is, I caught myself a couple of weeks ago, and that's when I said, okay, you know what? That's great. You want a relationship, but you can get that while you're building your business and getting new business. So most people actually say they don't catch themselves. They don't have that reflection. They don't have that silence. I can tell you that silence of me leaving work unhappy and having that deep inner angst was the best thing that happened to me, because I didn't go to my cell phone. I didn't go to something that would give me that dopamine hit and make me feel better. I went deep inside. But when I was cycling this morning, this is the last thing, you said that already 14 times, Charles, is that it reminded myself of David Goggins. And I said, this doesn't feel good. And you know what's funny? When I crushed the last 15 minutes of the class, and I walked away and I said, holy shit. I'm like, those small moments of understanding, I don't really like this right now. You know, I was making calls this morning and I didn't have my mojo. And I was like that. You know, you kind of go into the next call. And I said, you know what? It's not about right now. It's not about next week. It's about, this is the habit. This is going to be my habit. Pain plus reflection equals progress. Thank you, $1 billion man, Ray Dalio. And by the way, if you want to know something funny I said on today's video, so their CIO, who made $75 million, I think, last year, he actually grew up in the same town as my brother. And haven't read Atomic Habits, but if your book is going to beat it for the book of the year, have you read David Goggins' book? Did it come out yet? Is it fair to say that silence correlates with being self-aware? Silence leads to self-awareness so long as you allow it. You have to allow it. Everything is being open to it. I'm also reading Yes Man, which is a great book. It's a nonfiction book. It's a little corny and everything else, but if you just start saying yes, shit will happen. December 4th. Yeah, what are you talking about, Chris? How do you compare a book that didn't even come out yet with a book that's already out that's amazing and dominating? Come on now. Atomic Habits, 6 hours on audiobook, probably 250 pages. Bang it out in December or whatever. Go into 2019 with it. Goggins. All right, guys, enjoy your weekend. And by the way, this is the book I'm reading right now, Turning Pro by Stephen Pressfield. It's actually pretty good. There's a page that I'm going to bring up. I'll give you guys a sneak peek. I already marked it off at the bottom. That's something that I'm going to bring up. It's called Shadow Careers, and I'm just going to read the first paragraph. Sometimes, this is page 13, sometimes when we're terrified of embracing our true calling, we pursue a shadow calling instead. That shadow career is a metaphor for our real career. It's a shape very similar. It contours feeling tantalizing the same. So in other words, he goes into it and he says, these are the examples he says. He says, are you getting your PhD in studies because you're afraid of writing the tragedies and comedies that you have inside of you? Are you living the drugs and booze of a musician's life without actually writing the music? Are you working in a support capacity for an innovator because you're too afraid to risk being an innovator yourself? What are we doing? What shadow career, as he calls it, what shadow career are we doing instead of our true calling? You know, it's powerful shit, man. I cannot wait until my stuff is getting out there to the masses, because people are just, they're living in the Durr state. The Durr state, I've talked about it multiple times. They walk around like Durr. They're walking around expecting that this weekend will provide them happiness, that their girlfriend or their boyfriend or their relationship or their kids, or because their kid got into college, or because they closed the deal, because they made their first phone call. It's all about frequency over longevity. Frequency every single day. Make one call for 5 days in a row instead of 5 calls in one day. Go to the gym. For me, I needed that. So after this, I'm gonna go get chopped salad. This is where I get it, right down there. I don't know if you can see it. Nope, probably not. It's over there. It was actually kind of crazy seeing all the snow come down yesterday. I want this thing, which is my current business right now, to be absolutely overflowing. Yeah, so this is it. Do your job. Five calls, 19 days, every single day. Do your job. Do your job. And then obviously there's the calendar. Seinfeld has talked about it. You want to be a comedian, you write a joke a day and you track it right there with X's. Have an amazing day. Get 1% better. Talk to you guys soon. You'll leave your comments below. And by the way, thanks for all the thumbs up that this video was good. Cheers, guys.